When life gets unpredictable, preparation matters. In medicine, it's all about staying alert, ready for whatever comes through the door. On the road, it's no different. That's why Volvo designs vehicles to help anticipate risk, reduce harm, and protect lives. The Volvo XC90's advanced safety systems inspire confident decisions wherever the road takes you. The Volvo XC90, for life. Proud sponsor of the Pit Podcast. Learn more at volvocars.ca/safety.
All right, welcome back to the Elias Macko Show. Global energy markets reacting sharply to the war in the Middle East. Crude oil prices climbing. Drivers here at home already feeling an impact at the pump. Let's find out a little bit more here. Dan McTeague is president of Canadians for Affordable Energy. Dan, welcome back to the show.
Elias, it's great to be here, and thank you for the invite.
I guess it becomes harder to be affordable if there's a big war in the Middle East. Well, what are the early indications here?
Elias, I mean, it's been a great year. Everything's been a lot cheaper, but those days seem to be behind us as long as this conflict continues. The quick numbers, up 6 cents a litre net at all gas stations tomorrow in Quebec, Montreal here. I know some gas stations like to throw away their retail margin to pretend they're competing, but this is a wholesale price increase. They have to reflect it, especially if the replacement cost is going to go up on what they're selling today. So if you're paying, say, $1.55, $1.58, look for that to go up 6 cents a liter, 1.63. And if that weren't enough, looks like at least a 5 cent to 6 cent increase come Thursday. Now, if that's bad news, I got more offerings of terrible news. Diesel's up 13 cents tomorrow, and it looks like 17 cents a liter on Thursday, and that's all because of this war.
Oh, my goodness. So you're telling our listeners here, fill up today. That's the advice.
I'm on both knees. I'm begging people, don't be caught short here, and fill up where you can. Bring those jerry cans, red ones for gasoline, yellow ones for diesel if you need it.
Jeez. And so those are the next 2 days. Can we view, like the days after that? Do you think we'll have similar increases over the next little while?
You know, we're 96 hours since the strike, and I don't see any signs of this thing getting better. I would expect that you can look towards even higher prices come Friday, and maybe even Saturday. We'll probably be $1.70, maybe even $1.75 at some stations in Montreal by Saturday or Sunday. And even with gas stations throwing away or shedding their retail margins of 10, 12 cents a liter, that still won't be enough to compensate. As for diesel, I mean, look, sky's the limit. Well over $2 a liter, $2.10, $2.15 by the weekend, and goodness knows what's going to happen next week. If I'm to take Trump's view that this is going to go on for several weeks, this could go much higher.
What's the difference between gas and diesel for that price disparity, and why diesel's going to go up so much more?
Yeah, we've gone into a season that's very cold. Diesel is used for home heating fuel. It's used for jet fuel, used for military conflicts, and it's also in such high demand, Elias, that every week your listeners would be directed to the Energy Information Agency, the Department of Energy of the U.S. It's called the Weekly Petroleum Report. Go to the first report there. It says that diesel gasoline inventories on a 5-year average are well below 5% in the case of diesel, 3% in the case of gasoline. So we were already going into a situation where supply wasn't as adequate as it has been over the average of the past 5 years. So with what's happened, the closure of the Straits of Hormuz, with no tanker going through, 1/5 of the world's oil now stranded, a lot of LNG and refineries being attacked or targeted in retaliation by Iran. It really means that the situation there has 1 in every 5 gallons or liters or barrels now off the market for an indefinite period of time. We don't know when that's going to change, and that's why oil, gasoline, diesel are at a premium. Too bad Canada didn't have much more production. It could compensate, and that's a really critical issue, Elias. You and I talked about this many, many years ago. Because we don't sell oil to the rest of the world, or we've decided that there's no business case, I'm saying tongue-in-cheek, we don't have the value or the protection of the Canadian dollar. We're no longer the petrodollar. So as oil goes up, so does the value of the Canadian dollar. That's critical because all of our commodities, especially energy, are priced in U.S. dollars. When we last saw crises like this, the Canadian dollar is trading at par with the United States. The fact that it takes 136 pennies to buy a U.S. dollar adds 24, 25 cents a liter to the price of gasoline. It means we're in this kind of a crisis, we are fully exposed despite the fact that we are in a so-called energy producing nation.
Okay, so I want to ask you about that because, oil prices are rising around the world. I just wonder, though, if there's anything that Canada could have done over the last decade or so, policy-wise, that would have put us in a better position than we're in today.
Well, if we had 8 million barrels being made available to the rest of the world rather than just 4, you could have hedged your bets. And, there'd be continuation of investment in the Canadian dollar. We'd be seen as an energy producer, having the 4th largest provable reserves in the world of oil and gas. And for all the reasons for the past 10 years, we sort of said, no, we shouldn't do this. It's all about the climate. That's fine, but you're not going to have to pay for it. And for folks that thought it was cool to talk about elbows up, no, don't put them up. You're going to need to have them reach a little further into your wallets because it's going to cost you. And I don't mean just the cost of gasoline or diesel. This is going to cascade throughout the economy. You're going to see a lot of companies demand, a fuel surcharge, and you're going to see this reflected in the price of everything, notably food, but every other commodity is going to be impacted by this the longer this goes. I hope it would end tomorrow. Elias, being just get rid of the regime, they'd pack up and leave and be nice guys. I don't see that happening for that reason. Canada is woefully unprepared for what it's about to suffer, and it's all the inflationary metrics that we had going into last weekend are completely out the window. We're going to have to really make a decision here as to what our priorities are in this country.
Can I ask you if there's anything else that's going to hit Canadian consumers when it comes to the price of gas? Any tax changes afoot? Any escalators in carbon pricing or carbon taxes that are coming our way either?
Well, there is a federal second carbon tax, the Clean Fuel Standard. Again, you and I have talked about this in the past, back in 2021, which is now about 7-8 cents a liter. So, and it's not available on your receipt, but I see it every day. The requirement that refineries not only put more ethanol and gasoline to reduce the so-called CO2 emissions, the other factor is that they're having to pay what's called carbon credits or carbon markets. They have to pay into that, and they pass that price immediately on to you. So it's worth about 8 cents a liter in Quebec for gasoline, about 10 cents a liter for diesel. It's going to about 30 cents a liter by 2030. It's the hidden second carbon tax called the Clean Fuel Regulation. That's over and above Quebec's own cap and trade tax, which is about 12.5 cents a liter. So yeah, there is a tax implication. That's sort of a drip. But unless I talked to you about the value of the Canadian dollar, because there's not a lot of reasons to attract money into Canada. It's a real problem. Everyone recognizes it. Because it takes that 137 pennies to buy a U.S. dollar, that adds 24 cents a liter to the price of diesel and gasoline. So that's our biggest tax right now. That's the one we could have addressed, and we did address in the past, and we've lost sight of in all this argument that we should somehow stifle ourselves because we're worried about, changing the weather around the world.
Listen, I know you say everyone recognizes it, but I'd beg to differ. I think there are tons of people that are quite content with the status quo. It's like they seem to be okay with what's going on.
Well, they can't up to the point where their neighbors wind up at food banks or can't afford their home and wind up in a tent city. And I'm not being facetious. I'm very worried about this. My kids are moving back home. Everybody's feeling it. The pinch is there. And a lot of this was totally unnecessary if we hadn't followed this narrative.
Dan, got to leave it there. Thanks so much for coming on today.
Good to be here, Elias. Thanks again.
Dan McTeague is president of Canadians for Affordable Energy. And as you heard him, you may want to fill up today and not tomorrow.
The newest tracks. Let's go. New music. And the next big thing.
Always on the new music first.
Your first place to hear it all.
'Cause you gon' like it, love it, wanna play it twice. Playing now.
iHeart New Music. Your digital station for brand new drops, fresh finds, and tomorrow's bangers.
I think we need something new.
Discover iHeart New Music. Always fresh, always first. Stream now on the free